So recently we talked about a few things regarding people being doxxed in the state of California, and unfortunately today it seems as if there has been yet again another instance of people who have a CCW in the state of California having their personal information turned over to private entities. Now, in the past, we talked about how the DOJ leaked the list of names, addresses, personal identifying information, driver's license numbers, and a whole lot more information, including people who registered their assault weapons, people who have purchased guns. You can kind of go through those lists and cross-reference. We talked about how the DOJ leaked all that information. We've also talked about how there was recently a bill that passed that allowed the state of California to give names, addresses, personal identifying information of all gun owners, to give the information of all gun owners to private universities or public universities to do research on gun violence. We talked about how that's probably a problem and how unsecure people's data can be. Now, we're going to be talking about that lawsuit as well as an issue where very recently Riverside County Sheriff's Department put out a statement to everyone with a CCW saying that Viacom CBS requested, and this is in quotes, the names of all people with concealed weapons permits. The letter goes on to continue that they were reluctant to give this information. However, due to case law in the state of California, they are not allowed to withhold that information. Yes, they are required to give the names of people with a CCW when asked for it. Now, I've seen requests like this in the past from some journalists who wanted to know occupation, zip codes, race, age, gender, that kind of thing. And those might be useful to kind of draw some conclusions based on certain demographics, certain areas that people live in, what kind of occupations people have that are getting a CCW permit. That kind of information can be helpful, specifically when looking at things like Santa Clara County and how they had a pay-to-play scheme in order to get a CCW. That was very well known. You asked any sheriff and they would jokingly say, yeah, donate to the sheriff's campaign fund and you'll get a CCW. But this is different. This is much more concerning. It seems as if the only thing that CBS asked for was a list of names of people with a CCW permit. What use does a list of names have other than publishing the names? This is not information that's valuable to do any sort of studies, to look at research and kind of make opinions based on demographics. They just want your name. And now they have that list with your name on it. That's concerning. Now, this is very unfortunate. I know Sheriff Bianco. Sorry, I'm not from Riverside County, but I have heard great things about him even prior to the whole Bruin thing, that he was issuing CCWs very regularly for self-defense as good cause, which is great. Unfortunately, he seems to be bound by the law here and did give out that list of names, which is very scary. If you are a Riverside County CCW holder, your name is now in the hands of the media. What would a media agency want to do with the list of names? Oh, I'm sure we've never seen anything like this happen, for example, in New York, where they listed the names and addresses of everyone that had a gun permit. Well, we would never see anything like that. They would never do anything like that. The media is good. Media, great. So in a related lawsuit, maybe not directly related, but it's on the topic of gun owner information being shared about, the Firearms Policy Coalition was able to secure an injunction against California gun owner data sharing laws. Now, this was in the Barba v. Bonta case, which challenges Assembly Bill 173, which requires the state's Department of Justice to share the personal identifying information of millions of gun and ammunition owners with other parties for non-law enforcement purposes. Yes, they are sending that information out to basically anyone that wants to do any gun violence research in the state of California. What use do they have for your name? There is no use for that. There is no use for most of your personal identifying information. If they want to make some sort of reasonable explanation or reasonable interpretation of race, age, gender, occupation, area that you live in, that would be one thing. But they want much more than that, And this information, once it's sent out, I am not confident at all. Especially when I first talked about this video, I talked about how, it's probably not going to be that secure. The data storage management is probably not that secure. And the amount of people that said they work for IT departments at big universities that said that it was very easy to get into any sort of personal information was scary. I do not trust it. Now, the defendants in this case respond plaintiffs cannot establish irreparable harm because the personal identifying information has already been shared with researchers as recently as November of 2021. Yet this does not account for the potential ongoing and future harms that could occur by continuous use of this information, wrote the judge. Additionally, this does not necessarily mean that future requests for data would not occur in the interim, and while this motion has been pending, a massive data breach reportedly occurred that leaked personal identifying information from the firearm databases for concealed carry applicants in or about of June of 2022. Accordingly, plaintiffs have shown that the balance of harms weighs in favor of issuing the injunction. The California government has proven time and time again that it can't be trusted with the private personal information of its residents, said FPC Director of Legal Operations Bill Sack. Today's ruling enforces what FPC has been arguing all along, that you needn't be forced to open your front door to immoral government intrusion in order to exercise your fundamental rights. Now, it's great that they were able to secure this preliminary injunction against this, and I think that's huge. Is this likely going to be something that's going to be wide sweeping across the board and change gun rights forever? Probably not, but your privacy is very important to you, I'm sure. I'm sure that there are many people, maybe like myself, that deal with the occasional threat, stalker, harassment issue that wouldn't want the state of California to just be willy-nilly handing my information out. Now, thankfully, the CCW list that they leaked in the state's immaculate ability to update data and information did not have my current address. I moved a while ago, and the information that the state of California had was not my current address, which I have updated several times since. So thankfully, they didn't leak my current address. But I was able to cross-reference a lot of information and determine, that is a list of every single gun that I own and have purchased. So it's concerning to me to have this kind of information floating about, as I'm sure it's very concerning to you. People who deal with stalkers, harassment, that kind of thing, cannot risk having their name and address just floating around on some government or school computer, because that's essentially what's happening. This information is not secure, should not be stored, should not be kept, should not be monitored to begin with. There shouldn't be registration. What is the purpose of registration other than to have a list of who to go to when they decide that you can no longer have those things? The downside is, since that information is out there and is stored, now when the state of California decides to leak their information, which the state of California has doxed me twice, the CADOJ has doxed me twice. I made the joke if I had a nickel for every time it happened, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's still weird that it's happened twice. Let me know what you guys think down below. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.